Actually, yeah, I generated the intro by by ChatGPT, of course. Yeah. So as for plugins, for my personal experience, I started from using this Code GPT. I suppose we even talked about it before. So the Code GPT and the Genie, they have like the common features like asking to like write the new code, explain the code, refactor, make comments, and etc. So they are mostly the same, but I really like this Codium stuff. It's kind of maybe a bit new one. Only 80,000 installs on the VS Code actually, but it's not built on the ChatGPT itself, but it's kind of like a copilot. Maybe it's a copilot GPT more. So you're just writing some code and or even some the function name or test name, and it's uh, autocomplete what, for example, yeah, I just type the test and it's even name me the name of the test which it could be, then it will yeah, write the test itself actually. So it's very cool. So was widely using it during the I write like a small pet project during the Node.js course, and it's actually really helped a lot. So although I just sometimes everything I need to do is just press the tab button, and it's like generating all the code by itself. So that's really cool. This Quadium is a really cool one. So as for other stuff, I usually use Code GPT, for example. In this particular case, I selected the code from our old project. It was written in Angular, and I asked this Code GPT to write in React. So it's writes firstly the controller, and it just said that here should be the HTML for the controller. Then I asked just to use the existing HTML from Angular and to write it into JS6, and it's like kind of doing this. It's taking the HTML from the old Angular application and writing it in the JS6 format. So that's also really cool stuff. So it also could generate like I selected the package JSON file from the old project and just asked to generate the README file. So with some start comments and dependencies, etc. So it could generate like this. And also you could ask questions, etc. in the chat. So I also sometimes ask for some general question like how to use some like in this particular case the node mailer, the library for using for sending the emails. So it also helps a lot. So the same with Genie, it's kind of the same. It helps to generate, for example, tests. In this case, I just select some function and ask him to generate the test, and it generates the tests or explains, or it could also like find the potential problems in the code. So I give him the code I selected from the existing old project the code, and it's just write me what are the problems could be and how to rewrite it so to avoid these problems, or write the comments, which is also useful, or optimize the code. So also the old codes, and I'm like it's optimized. It's using the maps, and yeah, so it's also a cool use case. So this Quadium is actually my favorite. So it's the first one which I said. It's just auto completing the code. It's supported by most of the IDEs. It's now free actually for all the requests. Yeah, so this two previous are like more popular as I see. It's almost 300 installs, and what is nice that both of them are now supporting the GPT-4 model, so they already have more wider models to improve the code. What also I discussed is this, it's more like paid tools. The Tab9, it's very popular. It's also not using the ChatGPT, which has its own kind of machine learning technology and how to complete the code. It's also used, I suppose, for mostly of the IDEs. What I also discussed for the last few weeks is this AWS Code Whisper. It's included into the AWS Toolkit stuff for the IDS. So this AWS Toolkit, I suppose, widely used by some developers because it has some a lot of the helpful AWS commands, but it also now supports the code generation. It's work like the same as Codium. When you type just the name of the function or something, it's added you the code for this function, or etc. Yeah, so this is some information about the Tab9, the previous one, and yeah, the Tab9 is like paid. So if you want the whole whole function generation or completion, you need to pay for it. So yeah, I haven't actually tested it very deeply, but it's also looks cool. And also supported by all the browsers. The last one is like this Replit or Replite. I don't know how it's called. It's basically not the plugin, but it's the whole like web-based IDE, which uses also the kind of chat, but it's not ChatGPT. It's kind of another model, and you could write just in the chat what you need to generate. So I asked him to generate like a whole login component with the service, the component itself, HTML, CSS, and etc. So it generated, but actually it has some errors because it's not including the models which it used. It's not it's not imported the models which it used for the code generation. So I still need to use my knowledge to make it work. So it's kind of okay. It's also a paid one. It has really wide possibilities to write the code with the team and etc. But yeah, I suppose it's still not have some problems in the generation, but it's look really cool. So maybe in future we could give a try for it. But yeah, it's also paid one, so it gives only few asks for the chat per day. But yeah, it's look really cool actually. And a bonus. This system is whatthediff. It's a system IDE based, which helps you to create a summary for your pull requests. So it's sometimes very boring when you have a lot of changes or even small changes, but still you need to generate something. So this tool, when you install it into the GitHub, it generates some summary from your changes. So I suppose really helpful one. And also it could generate jokes and poems. Yeah. So my key points of use of all this IE-based tools is like explain debugging code, writing comments and documents for the code, getting like small solutions, small functions of the code, or modifying the existing one to improve the old code, etc. All generating the unit tests and other tests. It's also the really cool feature because it saves a lot of time. And in some cases, we sometimes it might be need transforms from like one programming language to another, or from one fragment to another. When we, for example, rewrite the old code base from one framework to another one, so it could be useful. But still, in conclusion, I should say that it's sometimes return a complete bullshit when you ask something, or it's trying to refactor something, so you still need to check. So just not to believe it on all its replies. So yeah, at this point, that's all.